Look at your life the way you look at your phone. Quickly, automatically, without thinking. The same tabs open, the same notifications, the same problems sitting in the background year after year, not dramatic enough to call a crisis, just heavy enough to keep you from moving. Here's the truth most people avoid because it sounds harsh. You're not stuck because you lack potential. You're stuck because a part of you is still waiting for life to get lighter before you start living like the person you respect. You tell yourself, after this season, after I feel better, after things calm down. And without noticing, you build a quiet religion around someday. But ask yourself something that cuts through every excuse. If no one is coming to save you, no mentor, no perfect relationship, no sudden motivation, what in your life must change today? What habit can't keep hiding behind later? What boundary can't keep waiting for permission? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That means the turning point is not a miracle, it's a decision. The moment you stop outsourcing your direction to moods, timing, and other people's approval. Today, we'll walk through 7 hard truths, not to hype you up, but to return authority back to you. And if you stay with me to the end, you'll have one clean move you can make tonight, quiet, realistic, and strong. If this is the kind of training you want more of, subscribe. Let's begin. There's a place many people live in for years, and it's not a city, it's not a relationship, it's not even a job. It's a mental waiting room. In that waiting room, you keep repeating the same sentences like prayers. After this stressful period, after I get through this, when things finally calm down, when I feel more motivated, when I have more time, when I'm less anxious. And the words feel reasonable, even responsible. But look closer. Most of the time, you're not waiting for timing, you're waiting for rescue. You're waiting for life to become easy enough that discipline won't be required. That's why the waiting room is so dangerous. Nothing is actively hurting you there. It's quiet, it's familiar, it's comfortable. And because it's comfortable, it feels like rest. But it isn't rest. It's postponement. Rest restores you so you can return to your life. The waiting room delays your life so you don't have to face it. Your nervous system loves this trick. It confuses delay with safety. It whispers, not now, later, because later feels like relief. Later feels like you're avoiding pain. But later also keeps your identity frozen. You don't become better in a waiting room. You become older. Epictetus asked, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Not because he wanted you to feel guilty, because he knew that the mind will always offer you a softer tomorrow to protect you from a hard today. So here's the practice, simple, honest, uncomfortable. Write this sentence, I'm waiting for, before I act. Fill in the blank, be specific. Then ask the adult question. If that never happens, what can I still do today? What is one clean action that does not require perfect conditions? Because the truth is, you're not tired. You're postponed. There's a sentence many people carry quietly, especially after years of effort or disappointment. I've suffered enough. Things should be easier by now. It sounds reasonable, even fair, but it hides a dangerous assumption that pain earns rewards. That endurance alone moves life forward, and this is where reality breaks the illusion. Reality does not operate on deserving, it operates on cause and effect. Like gravity. Gravity isn't cruel, it doesn't judge you, it doesn't care how hard your day was or how unfair your past felt. If you step off the edge, it responds the same way every time, not because it hates you, because it's a law. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action, not suffering itself." action through resistance. The obstacle becomes fuel only when you move against it. Pain, on its own, does nothing. Psychologically, this is where many people get trapped in what could be called moral credit. The belief that because you've struggled, you've earned rest from responsibility. That life should ease up. That discipline should come more naturally now. But suffering doesn't convert into progress automatically. If it did, the most broken people would also be the most fulfilled. That's not what we see. Pain explains why you are the way you are. It gives context, it gives compassion, but it does not promote you. It doesn't upgrade your habits. It doesn't strengthen your character unless you decide to use it. And here's the subtle shift that changes everything. When something goes wrong, notice the question your mind reaches for. Why is this unfair? That question keeps you emotionally busy, but practically stuck. Replace it with a quieter, more dangerous question. What action moves this forward? Not what feels fair, not what would make sense if the world were kinder. What moves this forward, even slightly, even imperfectly? Because the moment you stop asking life to acknowledge your pain and start asking yourself to respond with action, the entire dynamic changes. Pain explains you. It doesn't promote you. There's a reason the victim role is so hard to let go of. Not because it's true, but because it's comfortable. When you tell the same story again and again, people listen, they nod, they understand, they reassure you that what happened wasn't fair, that you didn't deserve it. And maybe that's true. But notice what doesn't happen. Your life doesn't move. Your habits don't change. Your standards don't rise. The story soothes you, but it doesn't strengthen you. Victimhood works like a warm blanket. When you're cold and hurt, it feels protective. It takes the edge off the pain. But if you stay under it too long, you fall asleep. And while you're asleep, life keeps moving without you. Seneca warned, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That doesn't mean pain isn't real. It means the mind can turn pain into an identity. And once pain becomes identity, change starts to feel like betrayal, because if you improve, the story loses its power. If you become disciplined, the narrative has to change. And that means facing an uncomfortable truth: you could have acted earlier. Psychologically, victimhood has clear benefits. It protects you from risk. If you're the victim, you don't have to try and fail. You don't have to face the shame of effort without immediate success. You don't have to admit inconsistency or avoidance. You can point outward instead of inward. And the brain likes that. It prefers validation over growth. Being understood feels safer than being accountable. But here's the hidden cost. The longer you live inside the story, the more it becomes a cage. You start defending it, repeating it, polishing it, because movement would threaten the identity you've been using to survive. So here's a question that cuts deeper than comfort. Ask it honestly, without performing. What part of my story helps me avoid action? What explanation do I keep returning to when it's time to change? That question isn't meant to shame you. It's meant to wake you up. Because the story that comforts you may also be the cage that keeps you. There's a moment many people experience quietly, usually late at night, when they look at their life and think, "I don't understand how I ended up here." Not in one dramatic failure, not in one bad decision, just here. That confusion comes from misunderstanding how identity is built. Identity isn't formed by intentions or big turning points. It's formed like a receipt, line by line. Small charges added daily until the total becomes undeniable. Aristotle said it plainly: "We are what we repeatedly do, not what we plan, not what we promise, what we repeat." Psychologically, this is hard to accept because the brain is wired for immediacy. Dopamine rewards what feels good now, not what pays off later. Comfort now beats growth later almost every time, unless you intervene. That's why scrolling wins over skill building. That's why avoidance feels safer than effort. That's why later becomes the most expensive word in your life. Later doesn't just delay progress, it compounds regret. Nobody wakes up disciplined or undisciplined by accident. Nobody accidentally becomes anxious, disconnected, broke, or stuck. These states are practiced, rehearsed, reinforced through small, repeated choices that felt harmless in the moment. This is the brutal mirror. Your life is not the result of one big tragedy. It's the result of thousands of small votes. Votes cast with what you tolerate, with what you postpone, with what you reach for when you feel uncomfortable, with what you choose when nobody is watching. And here's the part that matters. This is not about self-hatred. Clarity is not cruelty. The moment you see that your current reality was built through repetition, you also see something empowering. You can build a different one the same way. So here's the practice. Don't try to fix everything. Choose one small behavior you repeat that is quietly voting against your future. One habit, one avoidance, one escape. And today, interrupt it once, not forever, once. Because you don't wake up trapped. You practice it. There's a quiet place many people get stuck, and it looks reasonable on the surface. Waiting for an apology, waiting for closure, waiting for life to admit it was unfair before you move on. And again, maybe it was unfair. Maybe you were treated badly. Maybe things happened that never should have happened. Radical ownership does not deny that. It doesn't rewrite the past. It does something more uncomfortable. It takes the steering wheel back. Ownership is like driving. When your hands are on the wheel, the road still has potholes. Traffic still exists. Weather still changes. But without your hands on the wheel, you're just a passenger hoping someone else takes you somewhere better. Epictetus put it clearly. You may not control events, but you control your response. That sentence is not motivational. It's logistical. It tells you where your power actually is, not in what happened. Not in what should have happened, in what you do next. Blame feels good in the short term. Psychologically, it numbs responsibility. It gives your nervous system relief because it says, this isn't on me, but the cost is hidden. Blame freezes agency. It locks your future behind someone else's behavior. As long as they don't apologize, change is delayed. As long as the system isn't fair, you stay still. Responsibility does the opposite. It's heavier, but it restores control. It says, even if this wasn't my fault, it's still my move. And that sentence is dangerous in the best way, because it removes all waiting. This doesn't mean everything is your fault. Fault is about blame. Responsibility is about power. Fault keeps you tied to the past. Responsibility gives you access to the future. So here's the practice. Write this sentence and don't decorate it. Even if this wasn't my fault, my next move is. Fill it in with one action, not a philosophy, not a plan, a move. Because responsibility is heavy. And that's exactly why it's powerful. Most people don't struggle because they lack information. They struggle because they're still waiting for someone else to regulate them. Someone to calm them down. Someone to push them forward. Someone to say, it's okay, you can stop now. Or, come on, you can do this. That's not weakness. That's unfinished development. Psychologically, if you don't learn how to become the adult in your own life, you will keep searching for one. In relationships, in work, in motivation, in approval. And every time that external support disappears, you feel abandoned, not because life betrayed you, but because you never took over the role yourself. This is where reparenting begins. The inner child doesn't need a rescuer. It needs an inner adult. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be strict with yourself and tolerant with others. Not harsh, not cruel. Clear. Structure is not punishment. It's safety." Self-soothing does not mean escaping discomfort. It means regulation. It's the ability to sit inside anxiety without immediately reaching for distraction. To feel tension without numbing it with food, scrolling, or validation. When you soothe by escaping, you teach your nervous system that discomfort is dangerous. When you soothe by staying, you teach it that discomfort is survivable. Then comes self-command. This is where many people collapse, because they want compassion without leadership. But leadership is not a feeling, it's a decision. Self-command means you give yourself a direct, simple order, and you follow it even while your mind complains. Not 10 orders, 1. You don't say, "I need to change my life." You say, "I'm doing this next." And you do it. That's adulthood. So here's the practice. Write one sentence and keep it clean. Regardless of mood, I will. Today. Fill it with one action. Small, concrete, non-negotiable. Because this is how trust with yourself is rebuilt. Not with affirmations, not with speeches, but with evidence, with showing up when it's uncomfortable. Self-respect is built when you don't abandon yourself. Here's a truth that makes most people uncomfortable because it removes the fantasy of an easy path. You are going to pay a price either way. The only question is what kind of pain you choose. Most people avoid the hard thing because they think they're avoiding pain, but they're not avoiding it. They're just choosing a different kind of pain, one that lasts longer, costs more, and poisons your self-respect. Think of it like this. Clean pain is surgery. It's sharp, it's direct, it's chosen. You feel it now, on purpose, to remove something that will destroy you later. Messy pain is infection. It spreads quietly. It doesn't stab you once. It drips into your days. It shows up as anxiety at night, regret in the morning, and the slow humiliation of repeating promises you never keep. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, but only when you meet them deliberately. When you avoid difficulty, you don't eliminate it, you compound it. Avoidance has interest. Every week you delay, the fear grows. Every month you delay, the habit gets stronger. Every year you delay, your identity hardens around the life you didn't intend to live. This is why discipline is not a punishment. It's a payment plan for freedom. You pay up front so you don't get charged later with regret. You feel the clean pain of waking up early, moving your body, telling the truth, practicing the skill, having the hard conversation, cutting the distraction so you don't inherit the messy pain of staying the same. So here's the practice for today. Choose one clean pain, one discomfort you will actively select on purpose. Make it small, but real, something you've been postponing, something your mind keeps bargaining with. And when the resistance shows up, don't argue with it. Just remind yourself, I'm choosing surgery over infection. Because discipline hurts once, regret hurts every day. If you step back and look at what we just walked through, you'll notice the shift isn't loud, it's clean. You moved from waiting to ownership, from living in a mental waiting room to stepping out of it, from hoping life would get lighter to accepting that your strength is built under weight, from telling yourself stories to building standards, from searching for a savior to becoming one through behavior. And here is the core Stoic truth beneath everything we've explored. You don't own what has already happened. You don't own the timing, the unfairness, the people who disappointed you, or the years you lost to delay. You only own how you show up now, your next choice, your next response, your next action. When you truly accept that no one is coming to save you, something strange happens. You don't feel abandoned anymore. You feel free, because if no one is coming, no one gets to control you. No one gets to hold your future hostage with an apology you're waiting for. No one gets to manage your mood for you. No one gets to decide when you're ready. You stop needing to be understood. You stop needing to be validated. You stop needing motivation to arrive like a permission slip. You just take the next step, even with resistance in your chest, even with doubt in your mind, because adulthood is not a vibe, it's a relationship with reality. So here's the closing command. Keep it simple. Tonight, choose one clean move, one action you can't talk yourself out of, one promise you've been postponing, one habit that proves you're done negotiating. No savior, no speeches, just evidence. If you want more training like this, stoic clarity, practical discipline, and quiet strength, subscribe to Stoic Current. And when you're ready, watch the next episode on self-command, how to keep your word when your mind complains. No one is coming. Good. Stand up anyway.